All right, we are here now live in another Faz Radio. We have Titan and Faz here, and we're going to start doing things differently. First things first, what do you think of this pulsing logo that we have? I made that.
That is very cool. I know I like it.
And did I have two? Actually, I should have used this other one because I think this other one has music. Let me see if I can show it. See, because this one here, let's try this one. This is slower. What did you do to the audio with the clip I gave you, dude?
You sped it up.
Share your camera.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Start your camera. That's my camera. And there's Mr. Titans. And look, we have that stupid thing in the background, so I'll have to hide that. We don't want to do that one.
And I'm the one with the booze. Here we go.
There we go. We still have the pulse thing in the background. Damn it. See, this is what happens. Go away. Thank you.
There you go. All right. Now you know.
We're still learning here. We do not have a sound guy. We do not have a video guy. We don't have anything. And that's why we're doing this premium stuff so that maybe one day we can actually pay somebody to do that.
Well, either that or you need a stream deck. Make it real easy. You could label it in big letters for yourself.
Well, stream decks don't work the best with remote streaming. That's our challenge.
They do. They work just fine. You just don't know how to do it. I'll send you a video.
Apparently, Titan knows how to do it all.
I watched a bunch of videos on that.
Okay, so we are going to talk about do you actually own your NFT today, and a bunch of other stuff that Titan wants to talk about today.
Not just me, right? So
I'm sure things will come up.
We did a great job yesterday. I loved yesterday's show with Nate. We hit a lot of topics. We went long and deep on that one with all kinds of different things. And one of the things that really stuck with me was how we look at things. All of us, we look at them both similarly and differently. And ultimately, that underlying base, I think we all kind of have that same underlying base. Even the people who were listening and the comments that we got, it's just a difference of that top layer. And that's really important, right? Because everybody has that perception. And us all discussing it, talking about it, that's what's going to get us all kind of on the same page so we can all move forward and kick ass in this space.
I'm currently going onto YouTube and I'm hiding that green room video. You will only be able to get to it if you have the link previously. So it's going to be unlisted.
Oh, I got to do the sound check too.
Yeah. I went and did the sound check. That's okay.
Oh, all right, cool. Thank you.
Anyway, I'm assuming that everyone can hear both me and you.
Right.
Anyway, so yes, the green room is part of our soon to come premium package. It's free for right now, but we're kind of practicing, getting used to doing it because you got to get some habits going, and so. And then we got to get good at our green room. We have to get like more do you call it? More interesting content in the green room. Maybe we should have more fights in there or something.
Well, no. So over the past 21 months that we've been doing this, there have been some really super epic conversations, not only in the green room with guests, but the after show especially.
Dude, you put the wrong link in the announcement. Don't worry, I'll go fix it.
I did not. Did I? No, I didn't.
Don't say no when I know better. I got to go get.
You got to be shitting me.
It's okay. That's okay. Stuff happens. You even said that you'd do it right.
I know. I screwed it up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Stuck on this screen, but I'm going to go update it.
But Gypto and Boney Show made it at least.
We got two people. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay.
Faz is over there looking. We got 10 people watching. I can see it on the screen.
Oh, I don't think I can. I don't think I can edit your thing here.
All right, let me edit it back. What the hell did I do?
Apparently not the right thing.
Well, obviously.
Now you gave everybody the green room thing. They're all listening to the green room right now.
Oh, did I give him the green room? Shit.
Yeah, you did. Oh, damn it. No, that's the wrong one. Because I was just in the green room.
I'm just talking about how we did this for 21 months and it's like it's our first show.
It's kind of like our first show.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, what the hell?
What a disaster.
Actually, no, here, this says video details. Do you own your NFT? And when you click on the link, it takes you to the green room video. This is in YouTube.
So I did it right? Ha ha!
I think you did it right.
Takesies backsies on that one. I'll tell you what. That's really weird. So
I was wrong. Faz was actually wrong.
I popped that link in, and it says, "Do you own your NFT?"
And it popped. It's so I guess the fact that we were sharing our video in the previous one that confused me, but we're sharing it now. Well, we're not sharing me. We're sharing me when we become a premium channel. All right, and all you people out there in podcast land, you just won't see either of us anyway. So too bad.
That's really weird. Yeah, this is showing what we're doing right now. Yeah,
it was my fault. It was me. It's all me.
Okay,
I'm just creating problems. Anyway, let's talk about NFTs.
NFT. Oh yeah.
What?
Did you want to finish that conversation from yesterday later then?
Yes. Okay. This is about NFTs.
Right.
So, do you own your NFT? Why don't you ask your question? Well, no. Okay, then people can just go away now because they've heard the answer. So, okay, he's in the node. Let me tell you why it's not exactly true. The first thing you have to understand is what the fuck is an NFT. You think that when you get an NFT, let's just off the top of my head. When I think I'm getting an NFT, I see the picture and it's like, wow, I'm getting that picture. That's mine. Well, I would say, what do you think you're getting when you buy a car? Do you get the car? Or do you get the title to the car? See, that's the important part there. So yes, you do get a picture. You get a your NFT points to the picture stored somewhere. So it's like, hey, that stored picture is yours. But really, it's just kind of like a title to a car, or it's a representation saying you own this, just like you own a house, just like you own a car. If your car, we can ask a Ship of Theseus question here. If you replace half the things on your car, do you still have that same car? But the important part is it's a title. An NFT, the purpose of it is to prove provenance of something. This came from, if it's a gaming NFT, this is an NFT that came from this gaming company. If it's an art NFT, this NFT came from this artist. This artist made this picture. You're hopefully you're entitled to a copy of it. But what you do own is you have the location of the wallet. You have a wallet location of your NFT. Your wallet location has that in there, the NFT. If that makes sense to you, then I can stop. But I think I just munged that really badly. So it's like what a notary does. A notary doesn't make the contract. When a notary stamps a contract, they're making it valid. They're saying, okay, I'm showing you the provenance of this contract. Whatever's on here, I've validated it to be true. Well, whenever you make an NFT, whatever wallet makes that NFT, that's what the provenance is. If it happens to be the official Andy Warhol wallet, then you know that it's an official sanctioned Andy Warhol painting. If it's a game piece, game pieces are important because if it's a game piece, like, I don't know, some land from Decentraland, you know that if you have that in your wallet, Doesn't matter what picture's on it. If you have that in your wallet, you are entitled to land in the game, however they would define it. So that's going to be, that's going to be supported in the game. That's pretty good because somebody else can't just invent land and put it in the game. They can't even copy your NFT and do that because of, it's stored in a cryptographic way. There can only be one in that case. So I know you're saying, do you own the picture? Do you have a physical picture in front of you? No, you don't. You have an electronic picture. You have electrons, which electrons can be copied. That's not the benefit of an NFT. The benefit of the NFT is the provenance. Somebody has stamped this as official. Now put that in your pipe and smoke it.
So this started, I've been, if you haven't noticed by listening to Faz Radio lately, I have been on a tear lately with this decentralized thing and calling out the complete bullshit of Web3 and decentralization, right? And so Lee popped into the Faz Radio chat channel, I think it was yesterday evening, about 11 o'clock. We were talking about nodes, and the word nodes crisp was involved. And Lee had made a comment, Gala should have really sent a message a long time ago that if you abuse the system, your node license gets taken. And I said, are you crazy? That's centralized talk. Go back to Web 2 gaming for that kind of stuff, So then Lee cracked open the conversation and he says, I mean, technically it's still Web 2, but bits of Web 3, right? And so then I went off. All right. This topic just really gets me. So everything right now is Web 2. There's not any Web 3 in there. And we went through this, Faz, you and I did this. We even did a screenshot of it. And what it boils down to is the trust, right? If you have to trust any other third party, that's not Web 3. And so with these, especially the gaming NFTs, you have this NFT that was created by a creator, the gaming company. Therefore, they own the metadata to that NFT. So they can change it. They can change the picture of it. They can change the properties of it. They can change what the properties are, the rarity of it. They can change what collection it's in. They can change, as we know from recently with Gala, they can just mess around with whatever creator fees they want. My assertion is, if you are that person who owns the metadata, that's who owns the NFT. And I provided an example, right? So if you go, if I create a game, right, that's an epic space game, and I create this NFT of this gas giant planet, and I make it uber rare, and I put it out there and I sell it for $75,000. And somebody buys it, right? Faz, you buy my epic planet because you just love the way I made a yellow eye in there. And so about 2 weeks after you buy it, I go in and I change the picture to a frog. And I rename it as a lily pad, and I make it one of 1 million lily pads. And I go into my game and I change the game to say, this NFT ID is now a frog on a lily pad that you can place on another planet. You still own that NFT, but is it really the NFT that you bought? And you and I discovered by accident, Faz, about a year ago when you were playing with your bugs on that creation site, and I was starting to get into NFT creation, that you have, and you'll notice if you're an NFT creator, you'll have a button on there that says freeze metadata. And what that does is whatever you create it as, you lock that metadata into the blockchain and it can never be changed again. Okay. So that prevents me from going in and changing it from a gas giant planet that's one of one to a frog in a lily pad that's one of a million. So my question is, what do you really own do you own that NFT? No, you don't. You own a hash,
Okay.
a number. That's
Okay.
all you own.
Okay. So I'm hearing a couple different things that you're throwing together here. And so the first thing is I keep hearing this about the crypto world and specifically about Web3 from Titan himself. I'm not actually hearing it from other people besides Titan. And Titan keeps saying that isn't Web3. And then he gives this standard patter about what he thinks Web3 is. In a previous cast, we actually looked up Web3 and saw that it wrapped a bunch of technologies. So, what is Web 2? Well, Web 2 is definitely security, but there's more to that. Web 2 has, is a bank site Web 2? Well, yeah, it is. It's not Web 1, it's Web 2. Why? Well, it's because it has security. But if you were to look up Web 2, you'd see that it has a bunch of other technologies too. But getting back to Web 3, why can't there be many types of NFTs? When you say, there's many types of every other more mature technology out there, I don't think that you're going to be able to say this is Web3. I think you're going to say that's an example of Web3. Here's a Web3 NFT. Here's another Web3 NFT. Here's another one. This one's more decentralized than that, because you're mentioning you can freeze some of this metadata. You could buy a star, and then they can change the picture to a picture of a frog, and then you're playing a different kind of game. Fine, they can do that even if you were to store that picture on IPFS. They could. There are ways to change that star to a frog in the game. The game would just say, okay, when I see a star, it's going to be a frog. I mean,
but that's my point, is you're relying on a central authority. That person, the owner of it, gets to make the changes. You as the NFT player can't make changes to that at all.
I was talking wait a minute.
You're not an owner.
Okay, I was talking to my son today about houses. We were talking about who owned the house, and my name's on the deed of my house. Do I own it? Yes and no. Do I have a bank loan? Yes, I do. So the bank could seize this house. Yeah, my name's on the deed, but that's I believe the loan is a way that, well, I guess I don't have the deed, the actual deed itself. I have some sort of contingent thing going on where I'm responsible for the house, but I don't own it. But okay, say I paid off the loan with the bank. Do I own it? Well, the government could come in and claim eminent domain under first, various reasons, and then they can take the house. So do I own the house? Well, not really. So there's levels of ownership that we have. Do I own my car? If I can't cough up a title, if a policeman comes to my door and says that you have a stolen car in your driveway, and I can't cough up that title or a registration or something like that to prove that's my car, guess what? I don't own the fucking car. So that provenance is very important to the whole concept of ownership. So we have an episode in the past, and we should put it in the we should put it in the description below, where I talked to Doug Tenaple. He's an artist, and he created Earthworm Jim, and we were talking about NFTs and the purposes behind NFTs and what use they are. And we talked about this exact same subject, and he hit hard on the provenance bit. You can get a picture of Earthworm Jim, but if it didn't come from him, is it worth anything? How would you know if it's an authentic one? We don't seem to care now, but we do seem to care if you have a Picasso, or is that an authentic Picasso? I don't know. If it is determined it's an authentic Picasso, it has a lot of value. Well, with digital art, it's harder. You pretty much determine what's authentic. Okay, so this one is the authentic one with this hash. Well, the same goes with art too. Any art that meets, if you look at it closely enough and it has these features, that's the authentic one. We just happen to be very, 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 very good at copying things. I mean, we'll have the same problem if transporter technology ever exists, the Star Trek transporter technology, and we could absolutely clone an object. You're going to have the same problem. But whatever the case is, you're going to, with digital art, you're going to decide what's yours. You could say everything that matches this hash is yours. You can also buy art, where I have a piece of art hanging on my wall of, it's like 7 of 10 copies. So I have number 7. There's 10 copies of this art. Okay, well, how do I know its provenance? I mean, there'd have to be something else. So what the artist usually does, they make the copies and then they sign it, themselves, so that you could see that it's authenticated with them signing it. And of course, the more valuable the art, the more they get interested in how authentic that signature looks. If you were to buy a painting, a Picasso painting, it would cost you a fuckload of money to get that painting authenticated. You'd have to send it to somebody to get its provenance certified. And they'd study it and they'd look at other Picasso stuff and they'd be like, wow, we think you have an unknown Picasso here. And then you'd have to have a lot of people certify that. That'd cost a lot of money. Well, on the blockchain, that's free. If it came from my wallet, the Faz wallet, then it's a Faz piece of art. Nobody else can do it but Faz, because my wallet is unique. So that's worth something. And usually that's going to point to a hash. I think that the best case scenario, what Titan was talking about, is you can lock that stuff down. You can freeze that hash and store it on IPFS, the Interplanetary File Service, where once you put it there, it is there forever. Then you can say, this picture with these characteristics, with these ones and zeros, that is what I own. And there's only, according to this NFT, there's only one of them. There could be 5 of them as far as the NFT is concerned, but you'd have one of 5 official copies. It's all about the provenance. When you start getting into ownership, things get complicated even in the real world with real world objects. And so that's why I think part of this NFT ownership conversation is kind of bogus, because people are trying to use real world solutions for a virtual world problem. The problem's easy to solve. If you have a hash, if you have that hash, it's yours. You can do with whatever you're allowed to do with it.
See, that's my point. What you're allowed to do with it. An owner can do what they want with it. All you can do is transfer it. That's all you can do.
Okay, so let's talk about what you can do with it now. So that's a separate thing, and that's where we start talking about copyright. If you own Picasso's, I don't know, vase with flowers, you could make can you make copies of that? Probably, but can you sell it saying that you're Picasso? No. People would come after you and they'd be like, you need to stop selling this because you're not Picasso. Why? Because Picasso's dead. Okay, well, I'm Fred selling Picasso's flowers. And they'd say, okay, if you could make money off of selling that, fine, but you're Fred, you're not Picasso. That's the big difference.
But that, when we're talking about gaming NFTs and what you own or don't own,
gaming NFTs are really
you don't
just
own what you buy.
Gaming NFTs. Okay, so right now when you play a game, any game, a Web 2 game, the game starts up, it generates characters, and then you start going through the game, and then all the enemies that you die, they're just recreated again, over and over again, as you need. Web 3 games seem to want to go the route of whatever's in the game, there's got to be an NFT for it. Well, that's kind of cool, because if every tree and every pond and every prize and every bit of money in the game is represented by an NFT, and they're limited, wow, you now own a functional piece of the game. Yes, I understand. The game could then be re-engineered to not need those pieces that you own. However, it's kind of like saying, do you own a knight from a chess game? Is that thing useful? Well, you'd probably need all the other pieces in order to play a good chess game. Or you could make a game that requires just one knight. What they're selling when they're selling a game piece is a concept. And so let's use Gala Games Mirandus, for example. They have land, they have homesteads, they have villages and towns, and then castles. Another game, you could play with that land on Mirandus, and at the same time, another game could come along, Faz Randus. I could make a clone of Mirandus, and as long as you have a Mirandus NFT, you can play the Faz game. That's cool, because now that thing is multi-useful. It's not just Mirandus that can change the rules. I could say Mirandus, say they did change the rules in a way that you didn't like. You're free to make a game that puts that rule back.
Web3 is the first word in the definition of Web3 is trustless. If you have a gaming NFT, you are trusting that the company who created it is going to keep that NFT's metadata exactly the same.
Well,
and you are trusting. Yeah,
there's some conflation.
You just talked for 10 minutes.
I know, but there's some conflation there.
There isn't.
Yes, there is, because when you're grandstanding on that word trustless, that's talking about how these transactions are going to happen. That's not talking about whether everybody's going to fulfill their bargains with you outside of that transaction. Trustless is, I can send that NFT to Fred over there, and it's going to arrive. I don't need a trusted intermediary to make that transaction. That's what it means when you're talking about trustless. But I will throw you a bone and say that there's levels when you're talking about a Web3 game. Minimum criteria, you can have an NFT that can be trustlessly sent to somebody else. The complete other end would be this game will never, ever, ever change, so that this NFT would be useless. But that's bad. If this game will never, ever change, what if there's a bug? So there's got to be some mechanism for change, in which case, who decides?
But that's the game programming. It has nothing to do with the actual NFT.
That's fine. The NFT doesn't need to. Do you think when you get your car that there's any sort of rule that says that there has to be a road for you to drive it on? No. The car was built expecting roads. If roads went out of vogue all of a sudden, you're fucked. So cry me a fucking river.
But again, that's talking about transfer. A vehicle transfers you from one place to the next. We're talking about ownership.
Don't use alternate versions of don't use alternate meanings of a word to prove your point. Cars are designed to roll around on flat surfaces that are specifically made for it. Now, you could modify the car so it will work on other types of surfaces, but generally they're designed for roads that are built for them. That's not a transfer thing. You could transfer cars any other way. You can get a helicopter, pick the thing up, and move it from place to place. That's a transfer that doesn't require the car at all. The car is not a blockchain. So
how does ownership of your asset different from Web 2 to Web 3 then? I'm not talking about transferability. I'm not talking about sending it to another account. Nothing about moving it. Ownership. What ownership is different about Web 3 than Web 2?
The problem with Web 3 right now is it's becoming apparent to everyone, or it should be apparent to everyone, that this technology is still maturing. It started with a bunch of concepts that are not ironclad yet. I saw the same thing with Web 2. When I got into the internet, it was transitioning from Web 1 to Web 2. And there's a bunch of concepts around Web 2 that they were putting in place, that everybody was putting in place. And really it was about who was going to champion what. And the big deal was when banks really got on board and they started putting a lot of security in their applications, and your bank website was actually useful. I actually got really annoyed when Web 1 was around. It's like, boy, I'd really like to just log into my bank and just move my money that way. So it took a while for that stuff to suss out. So I really don't know how Web3 is going to end up, but I can say that it's right now, it's not at the point where you can say that's Web3, that's not. I'm going to say that's a component of Web3. We did have an argument the other day where I focused more on the technology and you focused more on the concept. And I think the concept's not completely there yet. And technology is still building too. It's hard to enable all these concepts that we want.
I'm still waiting for the answer.
That was the answer.
You didn't answer the question at all.
It's
What
still
is
working
the
itself out.
difference? What is the difference? There's no difference in ownership. None.
Okay, so if you're requiring me to define a Web 2 NFT, one does not exist. So how things are done
A game asset is what I said.
How things are done in a Web 2 way is you go log securely onto a gaming website, and really it's just your account. So your account is are you a paying customer? Did you do your password? Did you do your 2FA? Okay, that's Web 2. And now you can go play your game. The game assets, those are all owned by the company. The company, you cannot use any of the pictures outside of the company. You cannot do anything with that asset because it's theirs. If they want to change their asset, they'll do it. Now, Web 3, the vision is you're buying a piece of that game. That means that they will not, the concept is they will not add more of those specific gaming pieces if they have put a limit on them. If you're playing chess, if you're playing a game of chess, there's 2 rooks per side. Each player gets 2 rooks. So if you could sell chess piece NFTs, and you'd want 2 rooks to play the game. If you didn't have 2 rooks, it would kind of suck. Maybe you need a maximum of 2 rooks. Now, yeah, the game developer, after you got these NFTs, the game developer could say, you know what, we're going to add support for another piece. We're going to call it a wizard. It's going to move like a rook and a queen. Yeah, that's what their gaming website has decided to do, because they want to make the game more fun. You could probably still play the game with the 2 rooks and no wizard, but maybe the wizard is a different game type. If you had this NFT, it makes it more fun. That's great.
So that's my point, though. Right now, there is no Web3 aspect in any of the blockchain gaming companies that are out there.
What Gala Games likes to trumpet is, okay, when you play a game, if you play a chess game online, when the game is over, all the pieces go away. And maybe you can earn that wizard piece in a chess game online. And so once you earn it, after you stop playing it or paying the fee, you lost it. But if you bought it as an NFT, you could sell that wizard to someone else. You couldn't do that previously. The very fact
that's only if Gala Games lets you.
Well, that's if you're going to make a gaming NFT, they're letting you.
No, so if for example, right, if you had, and we talked about this on the air before, you lent a game asset to a friend of yours.
Yes, I lent you some.
Yes, but I'm talking about the other one, right? And you lent it to her, and it was hacked. So was that asset deactivated by the gaming company?
I'm sorry, I missed your question. You said an asset was hacked?
Right. She had the haunted house or whatever it was hacked.
Oh, okay. So I had a friend who
right.
who I loaned a game asset to, and she used it to make money with it in Townstar. And after a while, she clicked on, after a few months of doing this, she clicked on a wrong website, and her account got hacked. And then, well, her Gala, she went to this fake Gala website, which then asked for her wallet passphrase. So she then gave out her wallet passphrase to this fake site, and then that fake site used MetaMask and yanked that NFT right out of her wallet. That NFT is still there. That's still owned by someone. There's proof on the blockchain of what happened. So it's there, and it's probably used. However, yes, in response to some of these kind of things, Gala Games has started deactivating what they consider as stolen.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time understanding how they can deactivate an ERC 1155, because there is literally no unique characteristics between them. You literally, in order to deactivate it, you have to follow the blockchain for every single NFT you have. It's like, okay, he's loading in this NFT. Let's go look at the entire history of this blockchain. Oh, look, somehow we have a report here on the blockchain through OpenSea that this was a stolen account, so we're not going to support that one. Yeah.
So that's my point. Is they can shut that off. They can stop you from selling that asset, because if they flag it like that, it hits OpenSea. OpenSea will not allow you to sell it. So the ownership has a asterisk.
Oh, okay, don't confuse a technology with a modification. And I'm going to use the car again. So if I loan you my car right now, if I go to my car with my remote, I just have to have my remote on me, and I just press a button on the door. I can open up the door. What if I loaned you the car and I do have a key for it? I handed you the actual key, so you didn't have the remote. But if I had the remote, I can just get the car at any point. I could also theoretically deactivate the car. Maybe I modified the car to where if I had the remote and walked near the car wouldn't work anymore. So that's not the same thing as ownership. That's what I've decided to sell you. And I get it. So you're saying because Gala has decided to sell you something that they can deactivate, it's not Web3. Bullshit. It is too. They're just being dicks about it.
They own the metadata. They can make whatever changes to that NFT they want at any time.
Unless
that is
it's
not
IPF
ownership.
Well, wait a minute. We never said that the item was yours. We were talking about provenance. That's what NFTs add to the world, is they give provenance. This is an official Gala Games game piece for this game. There you go.
You don't own a tavern. You don't own a planet. You own a hash of whatever they determine that is. That's what you own.
That's the provenance.
But that's a problem too, because if you buy one thing and they change. Now, I'm not suggesting that Gala Games is nefarious or any gaming company would be nefarious.
You're
right?
just talking about whether they could do something, and we have some examples.
They can. I'm trying to show that you rely on the trust of a centralized company for these gaming NFTs.
This is where the language has to change, because right now people are using Web 2. This happened with Web 1 and Web 2. People are using Web 2 terms to explain Web 3 things. And I think it should be understood that you don't own coins that you get from on a blockchain. You don't own a Bitcoin. You have a physical, you have a wallet address, and you have the capability to transfer it to another address at your will. But you don't own it. You can't get it. You just have access to it. So, okay, so you don't own a Bitcoin. You don't own an NFT. You don't own anything that shows up on the screen of a computer when you do anything blockchain. The fact that they're using that word, I think, is causing you some mental distress, because you're like, wait a minute, I don't have it in front of me.
No, it has nothing to do with physical. What it has to do with is the ability to change that. So if going back to your house example, right? If you bought your house and you have this mortgage, and if you had to ask the bank permission every time that you wanted to change the paint color, would you feel like you own the house?
I really don't. Am I living in a condominium? Am I living in a condominium?
The person who controls the rules is the owner.
Am I living in a condominium in Trump Tower? Because I might have to ask the landlord to make modifications to my apartment, and I own the condominium. See, there are real world examples for this thing, and this is what you're missing.
So yeah, Boney Chill, these are things that I'm bumping into, and I went down with Lee in the Faz Radio chat. I went down the wormhole, even comparing Bitcoin to Ethereum, right? So with this POS mechanism that ETH has, right? They can with the validator system that they have now, they can censor transactions. And if you go and look, there's all kinds of illustrations on how they can enforce different blocks on either IPs for countries, or if they right now in the EU, right, they're voting and coming up with these laws about crypto, and they're thinking about banning it, right? So if they do that, Daddy Vitalik will go out, and with these validators, they will enforce the EU ban, right? And with that EU ban, if you log in to your wallet or to your exchange or anything, and it has any IP address that is associated with the EU, and you try and send transactions, they will be stopped at the validator level. Is that decentralized? No. If China puts a ban on Bitcoin and I send Bitcoin to somebody in China, they will get it. That is decentralized. So this expands to this whole ETH side. It's the owner is who gets to make the rules and who gets to enforce restrictions or gets to make any changes to what is currently being done.
Okay. Can I give you another example, because you didn't like the condo example? You went right by it. Can I give you another physical
I went by it
example?
because I didn't understand what you were trying to get across with
The whole
that.
point is you can own something that people can change out from under you. That's what you're hitting on right now. So let me give you a second example. The second example would be you're using a US dollar to buy a product. Now, you kind of think that, hey, if I have a US dollar in my hand, I can go pay anybody. I can go pay a prostitute, for something illegal. I can go pay my friend to do some work for me, whatever.
Can I pay with crypto for hookers?
Well, that's I don't care.
You made me laugh on that one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was a great.
Did you just mute yourself?
Yes, because I'm laughing.
All right. So what if the United States government were to change what the dollar was after you got it? They've never done that before, right?
No, they can do that, and it's centralized. It's
a
central bank.
So what if the United States government says, you know what, from now on, we're not going to support the old dollar. We're going to support only new dollars. In fact, you can exchange all your old dollars for new dollars, and then everything's cool. You'll still be able to spend them. Well, if you try to exchange some old dollars in the future, some people will say, well, I won't take that anymore. What's decentralized, the dollars are both centralized and decentralized. They're centralized because you have an issuing authority. That would be your NFT provenance. And then
that would be the people who created it and own the metadata.
And then there are people that support the dollar. Now, it just so happens you can go to other countries and buy things with the dollar. That's because a lot of countries, their own currency sucks even worse than the dollar, and they'll take a dollar, sure, because they know it's worth something. Until it's not. The moment that a dollar becomes worth nothing, you'll start seeing people dropping support with it. And let's say like the Venezuelan dollar, like there's, they printed it up into oblivion. So nobody's going to take a Venezuelan dollar anymore because Venezuela fucked up. But really, they had a centralized control over that dollar bill, and you had it, and something changed, and now it can't be used anywhere. But wait, dollars are kind of decentralized. Once it's in your hand, you should be able to give it to anybody for anything. Yes, until they don't decide to take it. It's another example. A similar example is people like to complain about, hey, I don't have free speech on Twitter. I don't have free speech on Discord. Whatever. I don't have free speech. I mean, this is being broadcast on YouTube. YouTube could shut this down, and I could complain I don't have free speech. No, you can say what you want in the world. People don't have to listen to you, and there can be consequences for things that you say. And if you say things on a platform that other people own, they get to decide whether to play it or not. So bringing this back to crypto and dollars, if I pay you in a dollar and you decide you're not going to take it, that dollar doesn't have as much worth. The same thing with crypto. If I'm going to pay you in a crypto and you decide that you're not going to take it for whatever reason, if you're the issuing authority, that's going to matter. But other people won't take it either if it's useless for them. So yes, it's decentralized technologically, but it's not decentralized in a more social fashion. So you're not going to answer this question. It's if you're saying Web3 must have these social aspects, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. What you're going to have is types of Web3. You're going to say this one is more decentralized than that. That's how this conversation is going to end. This is a better NFT because I like the level of decentralization.
There you go with your spectrum again. It's either decentralized or it's not.
The world is not black and white. The world is gray.
We're kind of beating this to a pulp, and we're like 45 minutes in. Should we talk a little more about the dilemmas facing these in-game economies with single coin versus multi-coin, or do you want to talk about Mirandus horses before we do that?
Well, we'll do that too. Let me bridge to the dilemmas then, because this level of NFT ownership, the spectrum of ownership is going to matter in these games. The games I think that will be the most popular will be the most fun games that give you the most control. What I'd like to see is a game that runs on a server that is completely separate from a company. That means that company could go out of business and that game would still run. That would be awesome. And you can do that. You can make a set of smart contracts out there and have a website that runs it. And as long as there's hosts or separate nodes that do this, the game would run forever. Just like IPFS will run forever as long as there's nodes storing this data. Gaming server would be the same way. I would call that the gold standard of a Web3 game. And that the dilemma is going to be, how do you get there? With our current society right now, there seems to always that everybody seems to want to need ownership over something. You know, the feds want to come after you and help regulate you. So the first thing they do is they go find the owner. Who's in charge of this? You're in trouble. They don't like Bitcoin because they can't go to somebody in charge and say that you're in trouble. They can't shut it down. So that's a big dilemma. And I think it's going to take years and years for all this stuff to suss out to be completely decentralized. And we're just starting down that path.
I don't know if we'll ever make it that far. I really don't.
Oh, come on. We're just starting. I mean, that's like saying in the 1960s when ARPANET came out, or 1970 when ARPANET came out. I don't know if we can ever get to the point where we have video. Yeah, you can. Well, I don't know if it could be as distributed as well. Yeah, you can. It's possible. Is it plausible? I don't know. It's going to require a social change for that to happen.
It also requires companies to step away from things that make them money, which is a very difficult thing for them to do.
Well, actually, I know people hate that word. Companies that are able to inspire ecosystems do the best. So what's an ecosystem that's popped up in our lifetimes? I'll say CDs, MP3s, online music. I'll use CDs because that's a change. You had records and tapes before that, and one company, I think it was Sony, somebody came up with the CD, and all of a sudden you had a bunch of people making CDs and licensing these CDs, and there was a lot of demand for CDs until the DVD came along. But and CDs there was an ecosystem popping up around it. Being the person who sparks that, you're able to influence a brand new industry that you helped create. It's even better if this format that you create is open source to where anybody can iterate on it. Then you have a whole universe of things that can happen with something that you start. If you got in early on that, you can make so much money with it along the way. So being at the forefront of starting up an ecosystem that you don't even control can be very, very, very lucrative.
It can be. But again, it's getting that company to want to back out of that and still have a generating revenue source that is equal to or greater than keeping that centralized finger pushed into that ecosystem.
Okay, there are software things that emulate what I'm talking about, what you're talking about, which is open source software. They're Linux. You're running it on your computer right now. Linux is code that was created by one person, and he got other people to help him. And he doesn't Linux. His name was Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds doesn't put out all the various copies of Linux. He doesn't make Debian. He doesn't make Ubuntu. He doesn't make Linux Mint and all that stuff. He makes the base operating system, and then others iterate on that. They base their stuff on what he did. That's a very rich ecosystem. In fact, he sets the standard. That's where you want to control the world. Set the fucking standard. You just then people. I mean, that's tell them it's got to be like this, this, and this. And when everybody does what you want, you can know that in advance, and you can bank on that fact. Microsoft did this with their code. They started open sourcing their code because they realized if they put out the standards, they can rule how code was made in the future. They can encourage people along their standards, and they can make money on each individual thing that pops up that they might not be able to afford to create on their own. That's called licensing. And so a lot of companies that make Linux products like Debian and Ubuntu, they make money not from putting out the program, but from servicing it, because they're not allowed to make money on the program. They're allowed to make money on fixing it. That's why a car needs a lot of service. A car needs tire makers. A car needs mechanics to work on it, and a car needs people that paint it and so on. The car company, Ford, isn't the person you go to all the time for those things. You go to your local mechanic. That's somebody that the Ford doesn't control at all. Your local mechanic or your local painter. They get to decide how to modify your car. And that's what I think that people are really missing when they're starting to define what Web3 is, when you start talking about centralized control and the fact that unless you had centralized control, you can't make any money. Yeah, you can.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you made more money.
Again, starting up an ecosystem, you have more of a potential to earn money than if you were a single company. If you're a single company, you're a monopoly, and you've got to tightly control things. If you spark an ecosystem, you become their fucking savior. They're what they want to base their models on. The guy who invented the PC back in the 70s, that design is still being used right now in the PC you're using right now. They have a lot of the same fundamental components in there, the same fundamental designs in there. So whoever did that sparked an industry. Sparking an industry is where you want to be if you want to make money, because you'll never, ever, ever be without money then.
All right.
Unless you're stupid. I mean, there are stupid. It doesn't protect you if you invest your money wrong. If you spark an industry, and then some people will still spark an industry and they'll be like, I don't like the way that this has gone. It's gone in a different direction. Well, sorry, you have an opportunity to see where it's going. You started something and people are going to add to it. Those are the most lucrative areas to take advantage of. You've been in there from the start. So that's where people with crypto right now stand to be. If you have Bitcoin or you have NFTs, you have stuff at the very beginning. It might be in the future that somebody finds out, makes a way to make smart contracts on Bitcoin, but you need Bitcoin to do it. And so if you actually had some original Bitcoin that wasn't associated with smart contracts, maybe that's worth more, because maybe you have to do something to the wallet address or something. I don't know. Whenever you build on something, having the raw materials is very useful. And there's limited raw materials with crypto and with games.
Limited raw materials for crypto?
Yeah.
I'm not following there at all.
There's only 21 million-ish Bitcoin out there. Those are Bitcoin or raw materials in my example.
Okay. That makes sense now. Cool. Where are we going from here?
Well, you had, was that all your questions about pay to earn dilemmas, or was that just some of them?
No, that was none of them. I got one sentence out and then you went on a diatribe.
Okay.
So when you have these projects that do things like gaming or perhaps a DAO or perhaps a lending platform, and even a centralized exchange having its own token, FTT or CRO, or what's the one on BitTrue? What is that one?
BTR.
BTR. You know, I screwed up with that. I was on BitTrue, and when they first released it, I got a absolute fuck ton of that stuff. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go anywhere. And I dumped it. I dumped it for like $20. I had like 100,000 of these things. It's actually doing pretty good now. I should have held on to it.
What's it at?
It's at like 2 cents.
Oh, I don't think it was really.
When
really
I got
low.
it, it was like 3 or 4 zeros and a 3. And I would sweep my dust into it. You know, they use that for the dust. And I just kept sweeping a ton of dust. And I think I even bought a little bit of it. And then I'm like, God, it was stupid. This isn't going to go anywhere.
So when I think of crypto tokens, I think about when arcades started using tokens back when we were kids. Arcades would, right now you could, I mean, back then you could put, every arcade machine needed 1 or 2 quarters. And so if you had a quarter, that if you had the United States token, you could slap in 25 United States tokens in this machine and it would play a game for you. Great. But you're kind of limited, 25 cents or 50 cents, you know, whatever the game would allow. And you can, there's very few settings in the game. You could tell the game to charge 50 cents or something. So you could require 1 or 2 tokens. Well, those arcades didn't like that because they didn't have a lot of wiggle room with that. They couldn't make it 26 cents or 27 cents. So instead, they would modify it and make tokens of theirs. And they set all the arcade machines to take 1 token or something. And then they would sell you their token. And their token might be 5 quarters for $1. And of course, you always got a deal there. But what they could do is then they could set other machines to require more of their tokens. In fact, what if a machine was underperforming and they wanted it to perform better? They wanted people to play it more. They could just, with their exchange rate, they could favor certain machines over others. And or they could, or maybe they have some lost leaders, and they can use their exchange rate to kind of even things out. So here they're using a really interesting way to get around using the United States token, which they cannot revalue. Now, the reason they do 5 quarters for $1 is like the hot dog thing. You know, hot dogs come in packs of 8, but hot dog buns come in packs of 10. Well, the reason, so you're going to wind up with 2 extra buns. And then, of course, that forces you to buy more hot dogs because you don't want to waste the buns. And then you're in this never-ending loop of shit that doesn't match up. That's intentional. And so arcades would do that too. You get 5 quarters for $1. You'll find out you have extra tokens by the time you leave because you don't have enough tokens to play. Actually, they don't set it for 1 token. They'd say every machine would require, say, 3 tokens. And then they'd set the exchange rate. And then you'd leave with like 2 tokens that you couldn't spend. And so they'd sit in your wallet or they'd sit in your car or something like that. And you constantly look at them. That serves as advertisement to come back and play more. That's what people do with crypto tokens and with NFTs. They're doing all those shenanigans too, because they don't want to use the US dollar. They want to be able to use the exchange rate or use what accepts them, transactions and stuff like that, to manipulate how much money can be used. And that's where you have the token that does one thing, and then you have games that support the tokens in specific ways. I'm not sure that I would say that a game and a token, a GameFi game and its token are a discrete unit. I would say that they're actually separate. They're treated separately because you don't need the game to use the token.
So if the tokens are used to manipulate people, is that what crypto game tokens are being used for, to manipulate people?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just told you how arcades used their own gaming tokens to manipulate people into spending more money. So yeah, if you have 2 tokens, you're going to leave and you're like, man, I at least want to play some more games. You might want to exchange more quarters for tokens. You could never just say, I just want 1 more token. No, you'd have to buy $1 worth of token, which means you get 5 more. And so eventually you'd have to spend enough money to where eventually you could make it even out and then you could spend all your stuff. But I mean, like the hot dogs, they're never going to add up. The same thing goes with any game that might use a token or a game that might use an NFT. It's never going to quite add up. And I'm referring to what we like to talk about, Gala Games, where Gala Games is constantly throwing these new NFTs on. They're like, okay, we're going to make it so you can play Mirandus. So you got to buy some land. You got to have a town. Once you got a town, you can put a stable in the town. And people are going to have horses and stuff like that. And so we have different kinds of stables you can buy. And then you're going to breed horses in the game. Well, now they're coming out with horses. And they're not only one type of horse. They're coming out with several different types of horses. And different levels of each of those horses. I think this first one's like some sort of flame horse or something.
Yeah, it dropped this afternoon. I saw that, and right before I went to the green room, I took a peek at the Medium article, and that's a real interesting setup. Did you notice what they did with the pricing on that?
No. What they do?
So they have the rarities, right? You have your uncommon, your common, your rare, epic, legendary, and ancient, right? And let me pull this up so I don't totally fuck it up.
You could share your screen because now we're doing video. We got to do more. We got to have more things where we share our screen.
Well, shit, I just lost my thing. All right. Present. Share screen, select window or screen. I think it's this one. We'll try that. Yeah. Okay. What am I seeing? Ah! Can you see this? Is it like...
Yep, we can see it.
All right. So here are your horses. These are the firebrands.
Maybe you can magnify the screen a bit. Control plus.
Yep.
A bunch of times.
There we go. So the stable owners will get first crack at these, and people who own human Riders of the North. Here are our prices. There's no tiers. This is just going to be until they sell out, right?
Oh my God. Ancient. Jesus Christ.
All right. So get this. So what do you notice immediately about the lower tiers?
Well, they want everyone to have, all the cheap people get the uncommons.
Right. And there's a big difference between uncommon and rare. And there's also a big caveat between the utility of those horses between uncommon and rare.
Do tell.
Uncommon horses cannot breed.
Oh my God. So they just died. You have to buy more?
They will eventually, even these NFT horses will eventually die. They by the way, that in here in 2 ways. Okay. So you have your ancient at $250,000, legendary 75, epic 15, rare $2,500, and your uncommons if you just want a horse that can't. All right. So here's the difference. Regular horses, not NFT horses. The regular horses are the horses that these NFTs will breed. Okay. Regular horses cannot resurrect themselves after death, right? So if your horse gets killed, you got to go buy a new one. Resist aging and
buy or create in the game.
Right. Resist aging, and here's the important part.
Resist.
Death of natural causes. See their wording? You know how technical Gala is. So even an NFT horse may be able to die in battle, is what that
Well,
tells
okay,
me.
well, let's read the line above it. It says regular horses cannot
Right.
resist aging and death of natural causes. That's all it's saying about the current ones, and you probably can't resurrect them either.
No, you can't. To highlight the majestic abilities of these noble steeds, they can't breed, they can't stable for free. So apparently the
So they should be
NFT
called
horses,
donkeys. They should be called donkeys, not horses.
yeah. Apparently your NFTs will be able to stable for free. So if you own a stable, you won't be able to get income from NFT horses, maybe. And inspire awe.
No. Regular horses. Oh, regular horses cannot stable for free.
Right. So
Well,
the NFT
somehow
ones,
I bet some NFTs will stable for free, like the ancients would stable for free or something.
and here's our caveat: only rare, epic, legendary, and ancient can breed with one another, and you must have a male and female in order to breed them.
So that means you got to spend at least $5,000 to get two rares, right?
This is what we were talking about. We're wondering if I had a male and you had a female, if I could send mine over to your stable and come out with baby horses. Maybe this is saying you can't do it. I don't know.
Well, before you go any further, remember what you're seeing here is the exact thing I was telling you about the arcade place with their own tokens. Except in this case, they're using horses instead of tokens. You can either use the in-game horses and not get a lot of benefit, or you can buy these special tokens that we've made, which have several levels, and then they can do certain things, but only in certain circumstances. And of course, their whole gig is to manage that whole Byzantine set of rules that you're going to be lost on. I guarantee in 5 years, if Mirandus is out, you're going to have people with channels just showing you how to breed horses and to do complicated shit in Mirandus. Entire podcast channels, not just podcast episodes, but channels doing this shit. It's going to be really fucking complicated. And they're going to, for them to succeed, they have to stay on top of understanding how this economy that they're building works.
There's already postulation in CFA that the uncommons will sell out, and then everything else they're going to leave a bunch on the table.
Well, that's due to the fact that no one has any fucking money right now, and whoever says I'm a whale is a damn liar. That's a person up in the comments there. Yes, I have a home loan.
That is glitch through gaming, isn't it? Yeah, we were talking in Faz Radio chat a little bit earlier in this, and I think that these rares, I think you'll see a decent amount of those go. 2,500 for a Gala Games NFTs, an almost unheard of price, right? Everything generally is like $5,000 at this point. So I think a sizable chunk of that'll go.
I do have some stables that I could probably sell for some horses.
Well, you'll get first crack at them too.
Well, I do have Rider of the North.
Yeah, you'll get plenty of whitelist.
My goal has always been to get one of everything, at least one of everything. So I'm wondering. If. So remember, they're planning, which I think I saw. They're planning different types of horses. Aren't these like flame horses or something?
Yeah, you're going to be able to shoot fire at people.
So basically, what they're making is crypto kitties with these damn things. Everything's a mini game. And so if there are going to be people who won't care about buying land and farming. All they're going to do is breed horses. And they're going to collect horses. This economy is so big that you're not going to be able to encapsulate it all you can't get in all the NFTs and be able to play the game. You're just going to have to be working a small area of the game.
Now, wait, I want to find and show you that other, by the way. So it says here, these noble steeds can be restored if they die, just like exemplars themselves. and they'll be reborn if they perish. Now, here, where is it? Come on, where is it? I saw it
And
and
I
I
want to
read it.
and I want to talk about this dilemma when you're done showing, because this is what we were talking about earlier.
I know I saw it. Did they change this? Ah, here. So they have materium inside of them, right? Which keeps them alive. Firebrands can be purchased for only a short time. Any unclaimed amounts will be burned. However, the brightest flames cannot burn forever, even with the power of materium.
You'd have to gain more materium.
Well, this is saying even the brightest flames, the horses cannot burn forever. They're saying eventually they're going to phase them out. That's what that tells me.
Wait a minute. Any unclaimed mounts. Okay, I think their wording is bad, because then they bold below it. Any unclaimed mounts will be burned and returned to from whence they came. That's okay.
So
I think you're reading into that.
Question.
You're reading
that's
into
a good
that.
question. Does that mean that the NFT horses can die eventually, or does that mean they're just going to burn them if they don't sell them?
Because it would be contradictory from what they said above. What they said above is that NFT horses can be resurrected in cemeteries.
Well, we know Gala's terrific at communication, so
well, and that's that. Well, it's going to take them a while to figure out the best way to write these things. What I have a problem with when people read things online, especially about cryptos, they don't take sentences into context. And I can barely read that because it's really tiny on my screen. Maybe I can full screen this. That's better. Remember that things mean things based upon the sentences around them. You can't just pluck a sentence out of something you read online and be like, "Oh my God, do you know what this means?" What's the context? So that's all I'm going to just warn you about is, I think it's obvious in the other games, especially Spider Tanks, that if you die, if you have the NFT, you're not gonna lose it. You'll always be able to use that NFT at the level that it's at. Maybe all of your upgrades are gone, but the NFT, what's that? EOE, Echoes.
How do you upgrade a horse?
I don't know. I just made it up. Echoes of Empire has it to where, if you're you have a planet or something, you can upgrade it, but if things get destroyed, you'll still be able to recreate those items, either the planet or the ship or whatever, and any upgrades on them are gone. So okay, that makes good sense with NFTs, because you kind of have a saved game piece. It's not a saved game, but a saved game piece. So if you've earned a legendary, you could lose it. But if you have an NFT of a legendary, if it goes away, you can always get it back and start over because you paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for it.
Well, now wait. So I was joking around the other day, and then I realized, well, that's really not a joke. So you have all these farm animals, right? Are they going to sell cows?
The goal in Mirandus is for everything to be an NFT. That's their goal.
So are they going to sell NFT cows that can only breed cows that you can buy? Are they going to sell sheep that you can only
I don't
NFT
see why not.
sheep? Are they going to be like Monsanto and sell only seeds? If you can't get wheat seeds from your wheat, you have to buy more seeds.
Why are you acting like this is new?
How intricate is this going to get?
Why are you acting like this is new? Yes, that's always been the promise. I mean, you literally buy land that you can't get any more of. You have to have that NFT. Otherwise, you can't get more land. So I have a feeling in Mirandus, you may even be able to earn or somehow have some sort of in-game land eventually, which then if you have the NFT, you can always place a town somewhere. Yes, it's going to be exactly like Monsanto. It's basically itemizing out pieces of the economy to sell to you. You get the permanent ones, and everybody else gets the temporary ones. So if they're going to have cows, I would bet before the NFTs are made, all the cows are just going to die in the game because they can't keep track of them. However, you get an NFT, now you can resurrect them, and maybe it's a legendary cow that could, I don't know. projectile poop for like 50 feet or something.
Well, then you'll need the manure, right, to grow the crops.
Is that going to be a separate NFT?
How-
Got me a
how-
pile
yeah.
of manure for $1,000.
I just bought cow shit with my Materium.
I got some high quality cow shit. I got some ancient fucking cow shit here.
Wow, that'll make your crops grow faster. How detailed is Mirandus Master going to make this? That's the key.
Okay. So here's the thing about this game, and this is going to piss you off for years to come. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Fine. So they have horses, so you can assume that they're going to make NFTs for cows. And let's go the cow shit direction. So maybe getting cow shit takes a long time because you got to pay to feed the cow. And then you got to walk them around, exercise them. Who knows? But they're going to produce cow shit, which then needs to be on your crops. But then there are people who don't have cows, and they don't want to make the cow shit. So what they want to do is buy cow shit from other people. So of course there'll be barrels of cow shit sold in the games, and then people who might want to get permanent barrels of cow shit, so they don't have to worry about the whole cow shit loop. And so now you have premium cow shit. Crappy cow shit. Yeah, I know crappy cow shit.
Oh no.
Redundant.
Uncommon
Cow shit. rare cow shit. So you're gonna have all kinds of stuff. And then it's like it doesn't end there. Because now it's like, you got to put it on the crops. What kind of crops are you putting it on? Are you using ancient corn? Are you using rare corn? I mean, it's what level? Okay, fine. You got the ancient corn. You got the ancient cow shit. What kind of water are you putting on this stuff? It's just a
now listen.
Comes down.
You could because
ad nauseum.
You could because if you own a tavern, right, you're gonna have different beers. You're gonna have your premium beer from your ancient wheat, and you're gonna have your Blatz or your Schlitz from the uncommon shit.
I'm wondering if being drunk in game makes you play worse at those tavern games that they're planning.
Well, and you couldn't shoot a bow and arrow. I wonder if it'll make your screen shake when you're trying to fucking shoot something after you've been drinking.
Well, then there's got to be a good reason to drink. Right now, everybody drinks because it gets them away from their problems.
Can you get the fucking horse drunk? How about that? That would be fun.
See,
that's a tavern game right there. Ride drunk horses.
Just get other people drunk, steal their shit. Why get drunk yourself? Then why you have to have a good reason to get drunk.
Oh God.
Anyway, so yes, you can get just maddeningly crazy with the ways that you can subdivide this shit. It's not going to end. And so the more interest they have in the game, the more game pieces you're going to see as separate NFTs. Horses are there because they have this whole game loop they're planning. Cows, I don't know if there's a game loop with that, but they would, if they have demand for that game loop because horses are too boring. Yeah, they're going to have NFT cows and then NFT chickens and NFT dragons and whatever.
I'm still going to say I want a pet dog. So maybe they need to get. I don't want dragons. I want dogs.
I have a dragon. Dogs. I'm going to have a pet dragon in the game.
How are you going to get a dragon?
I have one.
How'd you get a dragon?
You buy 10 of those card
Oh,
packs.
Is that the card things? Yeah.
Okay, so this is where you have one NFT. It's kind of weird. This is 10 cards that add up to a single in-game asset, which they're supporting in multiple games. This is the kind of shenanigans you can do. So this dragon that I have...
You don't own it. We already talked about that.
Yes and no. Again, this whole economy, this whole concept of Web3 gaming is just starting, and it's going to take years for it to suss out. If you would look at the state of Linux in 1994, the whole concept was there. I know this because I knew people that were into Linux in 1994 and 95. The concept was there, and people thought, hey, this is great. I can have a free operating system. I don't have to install Windows or DOS on my computer. I can just get on the internet, and I can author a document, and I could do this stuff. That was neat, and nobody owned it. But yeah, in a sense, it was centralized because Linus Torvalds did it. But the point is, once you got the code, you could make it yourself. That was what was cool. Linus could die, and you could keep the code going by compiling it yourself. And now it's 20 something 30 years later, that's developed. That the whole concept has developed, and things are a lot different now than they were then. You have companies have sprung up where their entire job is to modify Linux. That's all they do. There's a couple in Portland here. I forgot the names of them, but I've been there. That's their entire job, is to modify Linux. If Web3 games go develop to their natural conclusion, you're going to have these games be completely independent, and then other companies will start developing things for the game, and then you'll just roll your own game. You'll be playing, let's say Mirandus went completely Titan approved Web3, where Mirandus was on its own, completely independent. You'd have 5 or 6 companies with their version of Mirandus. It's like, I don't want to play the company 1 Mirandus because that sucks. The company 5 Mirandus with all the mods and the hacks that I like, that's the one I like. That's the one I play all the time. That's what all these companies are hoping for when they're doing blockchain gaming, is they're hoping that other people will build on to their NFTs. One of them's going to win, and we don't know who it is. With Web 1, it was Yahoo. With Web 2, it was Google, and Facebook and Amazon. With Web 3, I don't know. But I will say that I was using Yahoo right when it began in like 95, 96, when it was just a page full of links, and it became this huge portal, and it became this huge force. And then Google copied them, but did it better. And then Yahoo is kind of a shadow of what it was. But they're still bigger now than they were when I got into it in 1995, 96. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's gonna rule the roost. But all these companies like Gala Games, Decentraland, and the Sandbox and stuff, they're fighting for it. And I think they're I bet all 3 of them are going to be around for years to come.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they probably will. Yeah, I don't doubt that.
But I also don't doubt that they could all go away because the SEC wants to sincerely control things, and the company that buys up their pieces and then remakes stuff according to the new way of doing things legally, maybe they'll be in charge. So I think
somebody will be in charge.
That value will be there that's being developed right now. I have a theory that you can't destroy value, because even if a company goes away, all of their assets are going to be acquired by somebody because they're going to have use. So if Gala Games went away, they have hardware, they have developers, they have code. That code will be sold to somebody else. It'll be turned into another game. It'll be parts of it will be another game. The people who worked at Gala Games will be smart enough. They'll be building other games. So that's all sorts of value that they're trying to capture with crypto. And so hopefully that continues. I'd like to see that continue going with Web3, but I'm not going to define Web3 and say, this ain't Web3 because it doesn't meet these 17 criteria
no 17 criteria. There's 3 criteria. It's real easy. And when they get there, we'll know it.
What's your 3 criteria?
If they get there.
What's the criteria?
It has to be trustless. It has to be decentralized, and it has to be free.
Well, here's the question. Is this a centralized authority telling you what the definition of Web3 is?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So you've accepted a definition now. And now I want to know where this who told you this definition? What, Investopedia?
A variety of credible sources, including the one we put up, which was Harvard. And
so I'm going to call that the Titan description.
Well, okay.
I just looked it up. I just looked it up on Google right now, and I see Web3 refers to decentralized apps that run on the blockchain. Okay. If you can make a decentralized app, even without a coin, it could be Web3. Okay.
But the Faz version of decentralized is horseshit.
Well, we'd have to find out what decentralized means by that.
We know what it means. We've argued it on Faz Radio probably 10 times.
I said it's a spectrum.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
It depends on what you want, what you need.
You can have a spectrum, but it's then not decentralized.
No word is absolute. And yes, I realize that's an absolute statement.
Hypocrisy.
Are
All
you
right,
done?
I'm out of ammo, man.
All right, I've worn you down. It's been an hour and 25 minutes here. See, even the commenters have stopped commenting.
They're sleeping, man. You talk too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is Faz Radio.
I'm not complaining. You don't
fazzing.
hear me complaining. I'm just making a statement.
I just fazzed all over the place there.
I am just asking a question. That's my favorite new term. I'm just asking a question.
I was fazzing. All right. So
good thing you're not on camera.
You know, again, I'm really wondering. So I am going to do the camera thing. I might point it up and away because I really don't stare at the screen like everybody else does when they're talking. I'm much more antsy than Titan here, who's not looking at the screen right now.
I never look into the camera. I just, whatever I normally do when I'm on these casts is what I do. I just sit here and I wait for you to get done talking and throw my 2 cents in.
Mm-hmm. I can't flip anybody off while I'm talking anymore, or maybe I can, and that'll be my thing.
I was mocking you last night and I forgot I was on camera.
Yeah, I saw you flipping me off there.
No, I wasn't flipping you off. You were talking. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, you realize you're on camera. And I was like, oh, whoops.
Yes, I make faces and I don't think it embarrasses me anymore. So I'll probably be fine with the faces. But the problem is if you make faces, that gives a tell to the other person that you're annoyed. And when you do, and when that happens, then they go a different direction. I'll wear a mask. There you go. I'll get it.
That was the thing. So Nate and I were listening to you last night, and you said something that we both kind of went, oh!
Oh yeah, Nate made a big face.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So you know,
I might point the camera at something, and that way I can make all the faces I want.
Just leave it. Put it up like I did right here. Just put it up and leave it. You ignore it. After the second cast that you're on, you won't even know it's there anymore.
Well, it'll become my thing. It'll be like, oh, Faz always does that when Titan gets like that.
we do need fancy names up under here.
This is all going to change. We have some plans, and things are going to change. I don't like this StreamYard setup right now.
Well, you know what? We're going to go at the pace we've gone at. I think the whole time. Whenever it is that we're ready to make a move, we make a move. You know, and not a minute before, not a minute after.
That's right.
This has worked out really well. And the funny part of this is I pushed Faz pretty hard at the beginning to, hey, we need to be here. We need to be there after seeing other podcasters. And he basically pounded me in the head and said, hey, just trust the process. And we want to have fun, and we want to educate, and we want to do the things that we want to do, and good things will happen. And here we are 21 months later, and great things are happening. So
speaking of that,
it's a great ride.
Speaking of that, we have not said anything about our sponsor, which does not show up very well because our sponsor gave us this kind of graphic here. NerdNode, nerdnode.io. It's up in the upper right-hand corner.
Can you talk about that without digging at him every time?
What? I'm not digging at anybody. I just said NerdNode. He's our sponsor.
The passive aggressive. He gave us this crappy overlay.
Oh, well,
it's not a crappy overlay. It's a nice overlay. Do we want more overlays that we could use in different ways? Are you saying that
I'm not doing a good job of displaying this overlay and it's not actually crappy? It's me doing a crappy job? That might be a point. You should have started with that. Here, let's see if we have our technical difficulties thing. See, you can see NerdNode better right there.
I can
Okay.
see it just fine there. Maybe it's
Okay.
because you're colorblind.
It's black on like gray. Anyway,
It's
yes,
not gray.
What's the background? What color is that for you?
It's white, and then there's green and blue with the
I know what it is. Okay. See, I turned on what is it? Dark mode for Chrome. And it's a Chrome setting. And it changes the color of fucking everything on the screen, which is nice. That's what you want it to do, right? But I see different colors than other people. And okay, so I'm wrong. That's it. I'm wrong there because of I need to fix that setting on Chrome because I got to unfuck what it has fucked.
Okay.
Anyway, so yes, NerdNode.io is our sponsor, and they are a company that will run your Gala nodes for you, among other nodes, so that when your Gala nodes go down, you don't have to worry about getting them back up. You could say almost that they're node Viagra. See, that's the second Viagra reference I put in here.
So the way that I think about it is it's kind of like having a VPS and then not even having to muck with it. They take care of that VPS for you.
So that's NerdNode, and we actually talk with Forged in Crypto, who NerdNode is one of the companies he's associated with. We talk with him on Thursdays every week, and we just talk to him about everything, actually.
So there's great news. According to that, we're going to pop this out. We have a special guest coming on next Thursday, and it'll be for that
Is that
show
confirmed? Is that confirmed?
Yes, it is. I did that this afternoon. It is confirmed. We have a gentleman named Old Bull who created with his family. There's 4 founders.
Did he create Weebull?
No, not Weebull. That's Nate keeps getting them confused. It's Playable.
Playable. That's PLAYA.
Right.
Number 3 ULL.
ULL. Right. And if you go back into CFA and search for Playable spelled like you would think it's spelled, and also the way with play 3 ULL, we did look at them before. And we weren't real sure if we liked that one. There were some things that
there were unanswered questions.
Yeah, it kind of sketched us out a little bit. We couldn't find a lot of information on it. But now we've revisited that. And I spent a couple hours the other night going through the last year or so of Playable and their interviews. And Nate made the connection for us. He was the first one on Twitter to reach out and called a couple companies out. So they answered, and he wanted on the show. He's a fantastic gentleman. I watched some of the other interviews. He is going to be a very entertaining guest this coming Thursday for the typical DAO slot with me, Faz, and Nate.
That is really awesome. So
it is.
Yes, and the whole thing that we're trying to do here is we're getting hooked up with a lot of different people in the crypto world and talking to them so that you can get your information really quick to learn about what's out there. A lot of people don't have time to research this, and we're researching it and we're talking to the people so that you don't have to.
Well, you still should. Don't just take our words for it. We're just 2 idiots with microphones.
Well, we could get it wrong. We could ask the wrong questions, I guess.
Well,
everybody has a line. Everybody has a sales pitch too.
So right. Well, here's the thing, right? So I already prefaced it when I talked to him today, and I told him I watched your interviews, and a lot of those interviews that you did, what's Playable? Oh, what's a node? And I told him, I said, look, we got some people that we've been talking with for 21 months now. They're a lot of them are people in the Gala Games ecosystem. They're really familiar with how all this works. Playable has modeled a lot of their game company after the Gala model. They're not a Gala clone, but they've taken kind of the good stuff out and plucked it out. So I told him, you're gonna get some much deeper questions. We're gonna expand. We're gonna push a little bit further than maybe what you're used to. And he welcomed the challenge. So for those of you listening, also bring your questions. Do a little bit of backstory for yourselves so you know who we're going to be talking to. And we'll talk to them on Thursday, and we'll be ready for your questions if we don't get quite deep enough for your liking. And that came out really wrong. Take it for what it is.
I wasn't thinking anything was wrong with that.
As soon as I said it, I was like, that was a really poor
That's
way to
because
put
I said
that.
Viagra earlier, and
You poisoned the content.
Okay, well, that's I should take the NerdNode logo away, put the Faz Radio one back on. If that's there you go, Faz Radio. All right, let's wrap this one up. We're going to go back to our brand new animated logo. We actually have more animated logos coming too. I'm having a hard time deciding. Let's see if this shows up right. Yeah, see that? That's our brand new animated logo. One of many to come.
Very cool.
So we're going to cut this off, and thank you guys for stopping by and listening to us for so long. We like to have fun.
Have a great weekend, you guys, and we will talk at you on Thursday.
All right, let's see if I can find the music. The music is right here. Oh, wait, Titan. We have our pre-recorded outro to do. Can you say your thing so that people will know?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, like, subscribe, and throw some comments below. That helps us, which in turn helps us provide you with much, much better content every week. Thanks for being a listener. Thanks for supporting the channel.
And thanks for sitting through our pre-recorded outro.